Hi, sixth graders. I hope you're enjoying your first experience with e-learning. Miss J and I spent a lot of time yesterday kind of preparing that for you. But we didn't include in our plan that we already sent you this morning was each of our assignments was a little read aloud break. And I know you'll be curious what's going on with Dash and Moonbase Alpha. So I thought I would just kind of pop on each day and read to you a little bit. Maybe you could pause your assignments if you're in a good spot and grab a snack and just sit and relax and listen. I do have Maggie joining me, so hopefully she won't bark while I'm reading. All right, so where we left off, Dash had run out of their residence room and ran into Nina. And if you remember, they call her Nina the Machina because she has quite a strict idea about her. So, here we go. I have to use the bathroom, I lied. Nina didn't buy it for a second. There's nothing to see, she told me. Which was also a lie, of course. I managed to catch a glimpse of the airlock over her shoulder. There was plenty to see. Nina hooked her hands under my arms, hoisted me off the floor, and forcibly carried me 10 steps back toward my apartment. Then she sat me down and got in my face. This isn't a game, Dashiell. Go home for now. You'll be able to leave soon. When? When I say so. Nina pointed toward my door. I looked back to see both my parents standing there, waiting for me. I obediently retreated. The fact was, I'd already seen everything I needed to. The brief glimpse I'd gotten was more than enough. 2 Moonies had been emerging from the airlock with Dr. Holtz, carrying him back inside. One holding his heels, the other his arms. Others had been crowded around them. I hadn't even noticed who any of them were. I was too focused on Dr. Holtz. They'd taken him out of his spacesuit in the airlock, so I could see his face. The color had already drained from him. He was obviously dead. My parents ushered me back into our residence, seeming very concerned about me. I probably looked terrible after seeing Dr. Holtz. I certainly felt terrible. Dad shut the door. Mom steered me to an inflated cube. My sister was still watching TV with the headphones, clapped over her ears, singing the Squirrel Force theme song at full volume, unaware that anything bad had happened. This is all wrong, I said. Dad knelt beside me and put his arm around my shoulders. I know, pal. It seems wrong to us, too. I shook my head. That's not what I meant. I don't think this was an accident. Mom and Dad shared a slightly concerned look. Neither seemed sure what to say. You mean, you think he did this on purpose? Mom asked. No, I said not at all. I overheard Dr. Holtz in the bathroom last night. He was talking to someone about a discovery he made. A discovery he was going to reveal to all of us this morning. He was so excited about it. I've never heard anyone so happy. He couldn't wait to tell everyone. So why would he go outside? Alone. This morning, without checking to make sure his suit was on right. That doesn't make any sense. Once again, Mom and Dad shared a look. This one was considerably more concerned. Although I couldn't tell whether they were worried about me or about something else. Dash, Dad said gravely. Are you saying you think Dr. Holtz was murdered? Yes, I told him. That's exactly what I'm saying. That was the end of chapter 2. And now we get an excerpt from the official residence guide to Moonbase Alpha. Education. For the benefit of families with children living at MBA, school will take place Monday through Friday, just as on Earth. Age-specific classes will be conducted via comlink with terrestrial instructors to provide the highest quality education possible. In fact, your children will probably receive an even better education on the moon than they did on Earth. NASA has recruited the finest, most effective teachers to lead classes, and your children's education will regularly be supplemented with lectures by NASA specialists in dozens of different fields, ranging from mathematics to biology to engineering. Since your children will be living on the moon, they'll be at the forefront of scientific research. So there's a chance they might even learn some groundbreaking information before anyone on Earth does. I feel like they learn on the moon the way we're learning today with our e-learning. All right, I will read Chapter 3 as well today, since that was pretty short. Chapter 3, Bloodthirsty Gelatin. Lunar Day 188, breakfast time. School was canceled because of the crisis. Back on Earth, I would have been thrilled for a sudden day off. But on the moon, a day without school is even worse than a day with it. This isn't because I really love school. I don't. It's because at MBA, there is nothing else to do. I couldn't use my newfound freedom to go surfing or mountain biking. Instead, I was cooped up in the same place I always was, but now without anything to occupy my time, which placed me in a bizarre situation of begging my parents to let me attend school. Please, I pleaded. I don't have to go all day, only a few hours. I'm sorry, Dad said. Nina gave a direct order. Come on, can't I take just one class? No, you're not going to school today, and that's final. My teachers all work out of their homes, I argued, and I'm not doing anything, so why can't I just comlink them and take my classes? Nina wants all links left open for communication with NASA, Mom replied. My whole family was now in the mess hall, having breakfast. Or rather, Violet was having breakfast. The rest of us were all still too shaken up. I had tried to eat a rehydrated cinnamon bun, which is one of the best space foods we have, but my stomach was so jumpy, I'd only managed a few bites. Many of our fellow Moonies seemed to have the same problem. Most everyone was passing on the solids and simply drinking their reclaimed urine coffees. Maggie's joining us. Aren't you? Violet, however, was happily scarfing down reconstituted waffles. Mom and Dad were letting her listen to music so she wouldn't notice what else was going on. She had her earbuds in and was happily rocking out to her favorite band, a retro ska dance group called Colonel Mass Ejection. Between the waffles, the music, and the fact that school had been canceled, it might as well have been Christmas for Violet. There are 256 comlinks, I told my parents. That's more than 10 for every person here. What could Nina possibly need all of them for? I think it's standard emergency procedure, Dad said. I know, I countered. But the emergency procedures were designed for something like an asteroid strike or an oxygen leak, weren't they? Technically, this isn't even an emergency anymore. It's not like Dr. Holtz can get more dead. My mother glanced at Violet to see if she'd overheard this, but Violet had her earbuds firmly jammed in her ears. Mom then fixed me with a hard stare. I don't think that sort of talk is appropriate. Sorry, I said. It's just that without the links, I can't talk to my friends on Earth, or download a book, or watch a movie. It's only temporary. Dad looked to the other tables to make sure no one was within eavesdropping range. Then he lowered his voice. Things are going to be a little unsettled here for a bit. No one ever expected Dr. Holtz to have an accident like this. That's because it wasn't an accident, I said under my breath. Someone forced him to walk out that airlock with his suit on wrong. Mom sighed. Dashiell, we've already discussed this. You have no proof of that. Dr. Holtz would never have gone out of the airlock without a partner, I protested. He was always warning us that it's almost impossible to put a spacesuit on right by yourself. He was the one who came up with the buddy system for going out on the surface in the first place. That doesn't mean it was a murder, Dad countered. There are plenty of reasons he might have decided to ignore the rules. Maybe it had something to do with this big discovery of his. Maybe he had to get something off the lunar surface. And risk almost certain death? I asked. No way. Dr. Holtz was the most cautious person I ever met. He wore a helmet to ride the stationary bike. Even the most cautious people can make mistakes, Mom told me. And furthermore, there doesn't appear to be any evidence of foul play. It's only been an hour, I muttered. I'm sure some will turn up. Mom and Dad exchanged one of their concerned looks. They'd been doing this a great deal that morning, like they were far more worried about me than they were about Dr. Holtz. Dad said, Dash, you're a smart kid. You're very mature and precocious for your age, and we love that about you. But sometimes that brain of yours works a little too hard to see patterns where there might not be any. Dealing with the death of someone close to you is always difficult, Mom added. We all have our different mechanisms for confronting a tragedy like this. I'm not making this up, I snapped, way too loud. Everyone in the mess turned toward us, so I had to lower my voice again. You didn't hear Dr. Holtz in the bathroom last night. If you had, you'd be just as sure as me that this wasn't an accident. My parents recoiled from me. My outburst had caught them by surprise, but I think it convinced them I wasn't merely having problems dealing. Well, if this was a murder, Dad said, then you're right. Some evidence ought to turn up. But if none does, I'll drop it, I finished. There's something else you should know about Dr. Holtz that's important, Mom began, but she didn't get to finish. Dr. Timothy Marquez was approaching our table. Mom fell silent so he wouldn't overhear. Dr. Marquez is the moon base alpha psychiatrist. NASA is very concerned about our mental health. Living in an enclosed space far from Earth is a good recipe for going nuts. So we all have mandatory evaluation sessions once a week. Dr. Marquez is the only Moonie who was really famous before being selected to come to MBA. He wrote a best-selling self-help book called Turn That Frown Upside Down and appeared on tons of talk shows. Despite this, I've always found him a little weird. He has a lot of nervous tics and is a little too intense for me. He takes his job way too seriously and is always sticking his nose in everyone else's business, like he was doing right then. Is everything all right over here? He asked, obviously having overheard my outburst. He had a cup of coffee and was compulsively stirring it with one spoon. Dr. Marquez rarely ever actually drinks his coffee. He simply stirs it for hours at a time. Yeah.